Welcome back, everyone, to the HeatWave Podcast, part of the Roundtable Sports Network. My name's Anthony Aguirre, Miami Heat and Miami Hurricanes beat writer for the Roundtable Sports Network. Now, before we get into today's topic, hey, we're starting to find some consistency. Of course, it's going to be a long off season, so a lot of thoughts, a lot of reports, a lot of mock trades to get to. But before we get there, if you can please scan the QR codes above me, please scan the QR codes to join the Miami Heat community on the Roundtable Sports Network. You can simply download the app for free, and same for Again, even though we're still days away from college football, college basketball will hit its time there. College baseball just ended, but still, who doesn't love some Hurricanes football coming up very very soon? So if y'all can just please scan the QR codes, simply click the join button to be a part of these communities. It would mean so much for us, and we appreciate just all of your support. Now, of course, more Giannis talk. We're going to talk about Giannis a lot throughout the off season, no matter how much it might annoy you. But then again, here we are. We're still, there's still some time ahead before the NBA draft, which is essentially the deadline for the Milwaukee Bucks to trade Giannis, because as co-owner Jimmy Haslam mentioned, is they want to have this settled by the NBA draft. They don't want this lingering the whole off season. They want to get this put behind them one way or another. So for the Bucks, it really does seem like Giannis's time in Milwaukee is coming to an end. And if you were to say this 5 years ago, you would not think that's possible. You would be thinking Giannis is going nowhere. He's going to be a Buck for life. And of course, that was a thought 5 years ago. And at that time, the Heat were actually still trying to go for Giannis. Even in times where it seemed like Giannis was just simply untouchable, the Heat were still going to go after him. And even though that might have seemed like just insane to go after a player that's really not going to be traded, but now here we are. Now, in a recent report by, and I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Gary Wolfel, he covers the Bucks. Again, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm very, very sorry, sir. But he reported that the Bucks have explored the possibility of a trade package that would include Giannis and Miles Turner. Think about that. Miles Turner, longtime Indiana Pacer, before signing with the division rival in the Milwaukee Bucks this past summer. It is insane. Well, I'll say this. When the report came out that he was going to Milwaukee, I knew right away it was not going to be how do I say this? I didn't think it was a good fit at all. I just simply didn't think it was a good fit. And Turner's a very talented offensive center, a shot blocker, a guy who can really space the floor. But I just didn't see the fit within the Milwaukee system. There was a reason why he did so good at Indiana, because you had a floor general. You had Tyrese Halliburton, a proper all-star floor general. You had a bunch of shooters around you, and with the Bucks, there was just no continuity at all that would have led to Miles Turner finding some sort of success. So he averaged 11.9 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, 1.6 blocks. He shot 44% from the field, 38.3% from three-point range. He played in 71 games. The numbers aren't bad, but simply fit-wise, I never saw it being successful, and it ended up not being successful. So I think that, okay, if you're the Heat, would you take a Miles Turner? Now, I'm gonna make sure I pull up his contract, because I know it was a pretty insane contract that he signed with the Bucks last off season. So okay, I have it right now. He signed a 4-year, oh my goodness, 108.87 million contract. Average salary of 27.22 per year. I mean, here's the thing. I understand the new CBA. I understand, obviously what legally has to happen for a trade to get done. And simply the Heat can't take Miles Turner's contract alone. They would have to get a lot of help. And even so, they would have to reroute it because it would probably be too much for them to handle just being, again, first apron, second apron. It'd be too much. Obviously, the Heat don't have cap space, so it's not something that they can just upfront take. But if the Bucks want to get a trade done for Giannis and include Miles Turner, you need at least 3 to 4 teams involved. And again, Miles Turner is a pretty good center. I like Miles Turner, but again, he's a center you have to have in the right system. And as I just mentioned, the Bucks were not that good of a system. I didn't believe in what they were doing. Now I understand why they did it. It was a desperation move. Obviously, Damian Lillard goes down, and even that duo with him and Giannis were not doing so great. They might have had some good moments here and there, but it wasn't always clicking. So you have that going on. Okay, you make this move out of desperation, and right now it is backfiring because of course the Bucks had a very terrible season. So what like to think that Miles Turner could be the savior of your season or the savior of your off season, it was already looking downhill. But then the season happened. Obviously, Giannis dealt with a bunch of injuries, and nothing went right for the Bucks. Nothing went right for them this past season, and obviously trading for Giannis is the right move to do because you haven't brought in the pieces to really elevate championship hopes. Like after Drew Holiday, it's really not been much. So you just gotta, of course, you gotta take your punches with that. But in a world where the Heat could get Miles Turner and Giannis, honestly, I'd be very cool with that because I think Miles Turner would be a pretty cool addition center to this roster. He'd be a backup, of course, because you got Bam. Now, what does suck is, of course, a player of Miles' salary is not coming off the bench. It'd be insane to do that. But in a world where obviously, if it was a different contract, if it was different terms, obviously a different CBA, I would say go for it. But we are living in the real world, and it's pretty hard to come up with a trade proposal to get a deal that would take in um, Miles Turner's contract. I like him though. He's a really good center. He's a really good shot blocker. He can really space the floor. Although sometimes I think he does take some dumb threes, but I wouldn't say he's a shot chucker though. And I feel like we have yet to see Miles like truly dominate in the paint because he has the size, the frame, the strength to really be a bully. But we don't see maybe outside of like Isaiah Stewart nowadays and Dylan Brooks here and there. But we don't have any like bully ball type of players, or at least at the center position, especially when nowadays with analytics and shooting threes. But Miles Turner could be just like he could be better than what he is right now. And he just didn't whatever was it in Indiana, it is what it is. But it would be hmm, the Heat. It you Miles Turner cannot be what blocks a Giannis trade to Miami. It cannot be that. It cannot be that. So that was interesting to see and read. And again, in a world where you could take both, I think it'd be pretty cool to do that. But excuse me. Excuse me, sorry. But in a world right now where obviously that's not the case, rules are rules. CBA is the CBA. Mm, not not looking too good. It's very expensive. It's very expensive to take both both a Giannis and a Miles Turner. I tried doing a one-on-one mock trade, but you have to give up half the roster. Maybe maybe a sign-in trade with Norman Powell can help maybe alleviate some of that. Maybe, but I even then I would not imagine the Bucks wanting to take in Norman Powell at a very expensive contract. So a lot of ins and outs with that. But we'll see what happens down the line. We're still a good time away before the NBA draft. But some reports are saying that the Bucks are operating as if they have two lottery picks. Interesting enough. And the Heat, most reports from local media have really been more so mentioning how they're working out with more so second round prospects. I haven't, again, I'm not saying they haven't been working out with lottery picks, but for me personally, I haven't seen a report that says they're working out with this lottery pick, this projected lottery pick. I haven't seen a report from a reliable source just yet. And if it comes up, then okay, interesting. Because remember, the Miami Herald reported that because of the whole draft rules where you can't trade away two consecutive first round picks, in two consecutive years. So the Heat cannot trade away this pick. So they would likely have to, if a deal is in place to get Giannis, and the only thing left is for this pick to go through, then the Heat would essentially be picking on behalf of the Bucks. I don't see a rule that's against that. I mean, we see that all the time. So that is very interesting to see what happens. So that again, that could lead to indicate that this trade, it could be finalized after the draft, but the Heat and Bucks could agree on a package beforehand. It just won't be finalized until after the draft. Again, there's going to be a lot of Giannis talk on this pod because that is going to be the highlight of the off season. And if the Heat don't get Giannis, then it is the most epic failure of the off season. I mean, this is probably the closest you've been to a superstar since Damian Lillard said he wanted the Heat. Like, this is probably your clearest path to get Giannis. And if you don't land him, it's a failure. And if not, and if you actually do get him, then honestly, the front office gets a lot of redemption because they've missed out on so many superstars in the past. So this would be a leg up. Now, of course, you have to fill out the roster. But listen, I did an article and I did a pod recently about a few free agents that could be, attracted to playing with Bam and Giannis and even take a vet minimum. Make sure to check that out, please. So that'll be all for today's pod. Just wanted to go off on this report because I thought it was very interesting how the Bucks are desperate now to get off of Miles Turner's contract just after one season. But then again, if you're gonna go into a rebuild, then you might as well start from scratch. So thank you all for watching. Anthony Aguirre here, HeatWave Podcast, part of the Roundtable Sports Network. Please, I'm gonna ask you again nicely to please download the Roundtable app for free, and please make sure to scan both QR codes, both the Miami Heat and the Miami Hurricanes, and please click the join button to be a part of those communities. And again, please support the Roundtable Sports Network. Thank you very much, and we will see you again next time.